Welcome to The Root Cause, a podcast that takes a deep dive into all things manufacturing, sponsored by Mass Group.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into the digital backbone of manufacturing, those big systems that are supposed to give you agility and, well, control.
Exactly. We're talking about the MES, your ERP, your CMMS.
And here's the paradox, the huge, costly paradox we're going to be unpacking. A lot of manufacturing leaders find that the very software they bought, the expensive system that was supposed to make everything more efficient, it's actually become the single biggest thing holding them back.
Okay, let's unpack this. The core question, I think, is why does this super specialized, very expensive software end up, holding you hostage right when you need to adapt?
Right. A new customer demand, a new regulation.
Exactly. Why does that promise of being digital turn into this reality of being stuck?
That feeling is absolutely spot on. And, that's the moment we can define as vendor lock-in.
Vendor lock-in.
It's that point where the cost, and financial and operational cost of switching vendors or even just making a big change to your current system is so massive, you're basically paralyzed. And that's exactly why we're here today. We're doing a deep dive, drawing from a whole collection of recent industry insights that focus on this exact friction point.
Right. So our mission today is to get past that frustration and give you some real actionable clarity.
Okay.
We're going to lay out the 7 critical signs that you're in that lock-in trap. We'll explain why this big shift in thinking from customization to configurability is really the only way out.
And the money part, the ROI.
And, most importantly, show you the measurable financial ROI of moving toward what we can call agile independence.
If you're an operations or IT leader, I think you know this pain. It's that moment where a simple workflow change, something that should take a day, suddenly involves procurement, budget approvals, and a 3-month consulting contract. It's less like optimizing and more like a hostage negotiation.
It is a hostage negotiation because you've lost control. When you're locked in, your operation starts bending to fit the software's limits, not the other way around.
So your improvement stops, or at least it slows way down.
It throttles it down to the speed of your vendor's consulting schedule, which, if you're lucky, is quarterly. Meanwhile, your competition is making changes every week.
And the ripple effects of that are just brutal, aren't they? It's not just the money for the consultant, it's morale.
Precisely. You see these amazing teams getting demoralized. They start creating this shadow IT.
Or the spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets, the paper logs, the whiteboards, because they know making a real change in the actual system is just too hard or too expensive, and that just kills your digital transformation roadmap.
Because you can't connect anything new.
You can't. New sensors, analytics tools, AI models, it all just stalls.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So for a leader looking at their budget, at their IT backlog, what are the 7 concrete signs, the red flags they should be looking for right now?
So let's look at what we could call the cycle of despair. It usually starts with the customization trap.
The customization trap.
Yeah, and at first customization feels like a victory, right? You get this perfect, unique workflow for your process. But customization, and this is key, it involves developers writing new code. It alters the system.
Wait, hold on. Why is that so dangerous? If it works perfectly at the start.
Because it changes the system's core code. The second the vendor rolls out a major upgrade, say from version 4.0 to 5.0,
everything breaks.
Everything breaks. All those custom reports, all those scripts. You're then faced with a choice. Rewrite months of code, which is hugely expensive, or do what most companies do and just skip the update.
And that's how the technical debt starts piling up.
Immediately. It's a massive, crippling debt.
And that fear of things breaking leads to sign number 2, which I'm guessing shows up on the P&L.
Oh, it definitely does. We call it, you can't do anything without calling someone. If your own people can't even adjust a data field, everything requires an external consultant billing by the hour.
And that adds up fast.
We see professional services spending just balloons. It can easily exceed 40% of the annual license cost, sometimes way more.
Wow. Okay, so what's sign number 3?
Waiting forever for features. Your business needs are changing fast. Maybe you need AI scheduling or mobile apps for your operators on the floor.
Things you need today.
Right. But you're stuck in line waiting 12, maybe 18 months for the vendor to maybe release that feature, if it even aligns with their roadmap at all.
Which brings us to the fourth red flag.
Yeah.
You mentioned skipping updates. This is what you call upgrade paralysis.
Exactly. Because every upgrade is basically a risky, expensive re-implementation project. People just avoid them. The source material had a great example of a pharma plant. They put off their MES upgrades for 4 years. 4 years, just to avoid revalidating all that custom code.
And what did that actually cost them?
Real money. They missed out on new efficiency tools, batch optimization. Industry estimates suggest it cost them at least $200,000 in savings they could have had.
And you fall behind, miss security patches.
And you risk the vendor dropping support for your version entirely. It's a ticking time bomb.
Okay, so that's 4. Let's talk about the 5th. Manufacturing floors are this complex web of systems. ERP, MES, WMS. They all talk to each other. Or they're supposed to.
They're supposed to. And that brings us to sign 5. Everything breaks when anything changes. If your integrations are built on brittle, custom scripts, which they usually are in these systems, a tiny API update in your ERP
Can take down the whole shop floor.
an emergency outage. It's this incredibly fragile system. I mean, some companies spend up to 30% of their IT budget just putting out these fires, not innovating.
And number 6 is huge, especially now with AI and machine learning being so important.
It's critical. Your data is tracked. Production data is the new gold, but if your vendor locks it up, if you need special tools or expensive consultants just to pull a clean data set, you can't innovate.
So lack of data portability is a strategy.
It is the classic lock-in strategy.
Which leaves us with the 7th and final sign.
Prices keep going up. It's simple leverage. The cost to switch systems is so terrifyingly high. You're talking months of downtime, millions in migration costs, that you have zero negotiating power.
So you just have to pay whatever they ask.
You pay premium prices for service that often gets worse over time. Your strategic investment becomes just a budget line item that squeezes you every year.
Okay, that is a powerful and, frankly, a pretty grim diagnosis.
Yeah.
So now we need to talk about the cure.
Yeah.
You said it's this shift from customization to configurability.
Right.
And that sounds a little like semantics, but you're saying it's a completely different philosophy.
It is the difference between building a sandcastle and building with Legos. Let's get the definitions clear. Customization is development. It's writing new code, changing the system's core, creating that technical debt that shatters on upgrade.
Okay. And configurability.
Configurability uses low-code or no-code visual tools.
Yeah.
Your business users, your experts, not developers, can adapt workflows and forms through settings. And the key is, those changes are stored as metadata outside the core code.
So the foundation stays stable.
The foundation's untouched, the changes are scalable, and your technical debt just plummets.
That Lego analogy is perfect. Customization is like having a master artisan hand-carve a beautiful desk to fit one specific room. It's perfect, but you can never, ever move it.
Exactly.
Configurability is the modular Lego system. You can take it apart, rebuild it, adapt it over and over as your needs change, and the bricks themselves never break.
And the speed difference is where it really hits home for operations. A small process change in a customized system. You're looking at a statement of work, a quote, weeks of coding and testing. It can easily take 4 to 8 weeks.
4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And in a configurable platform, what does that same change look like?
It shrinks from weeks to days. A trained internal expert logs in, uses a visual editor, drags and drops a pre-built block, sets the new rules, and deploys it. Maybe a day or 2.
So the ROI isn't just saving on consultants.
It's the velocity. It's the speed of improvement you unlock. And this leads to something really powerful, workforce empowerment. People in IT call it citizen development.
It's democratizing the process.
Completely. It lets your subject matter experts, the quality manager, the process engineer, handle 60 to 70% of the changes themselves. In a rigid system, they're lucky if they can handle 10 or 20%. It flips the whole power dynamic.
That flexibility sounds essential, but these are still massive investments. So let's get back to the balance sheet. How does this translate into actual measurable financial value? So what does this all mean?
Well, the ROI story is really compelling because it starts fast and then just compounds. In year 1, you get much faster time to value.
Meaning you're up and running sooner.
Way sooner. A traditional MES rollout can take 12 to 18 months. A configurable platform, because there's less custom coding, can often go live in 3 to 6 months. That's a huge head start on getting value.
And a shorter timeline must mean you're spending less on consultants to set it all up.
Exactly. Reduced vendor services during implementation. Your own teams handle more of the setup, which saves hundreds of thousands of dollars right out of the gate. And crucially, they build that internal expertise from day one.
But the real story here has to be the long game, right? Years 2 through 5.
Okay.
You said the total cost of ownership curve crosses over pretty fast.
Yes. This is where the benefits really compound and redefine TCO. First, you get drastically lower upgrade costs. That $200,000 upgrade bill we mentioned, it can drop by 60 to 75%.
So down to maybe $50,000.
Something like that. Because your business logic, your configurations, they just carry forward automatically. No expensive code reengineering.
Okay, but hold on. The source says independent studies show TCO can be 35 to 50% lower by year 5. That sounds almost too good to be true, especially if the initial license cost is a bit higher.
It's the math of eliminating that technical debt and consulting spend. Think of a graph. The customized system starts lower, but its annual costs just climb and climb with every broken upgrade and consultant bill.
And the configurable one?
It might start a little higher, but its operating costs flatten out. That crossover point where the savings justify the investment, it often happens right around the 2-year mark. After that, it's just pure saving. You're deploying 3 to 5 times more improvements per year at a fraction of the cost per change. That is a sustainable competitive advantage.
And for those highly regulated industries, aerospace, med device, semiconductors, there's a massive insurance benefit here, I'd imagine, around validation.
No, that's often the biggest TCO saver of all. In a regulated space, any code-level change needs a painful, full system revalidation. FDA 21, CFR Part 11, AS 9100, you know the drill.
Right.
But when a change is a configuration, it's at a higher level of abstraction. It's not code. So you can cut your validation effort by 50% or more. You're just validating the specific workflow change, not the entire system.
That speed plus compliance equals competitive agility. You can launch a new product variant in weeks instead of months. That's real revenue.
And don't forget talent. Younger engineers and IT folks, they expect modern, flexible tools. A configurable system helps you attract and keep them. It's a real solution to the industrial talent gap.
This really does sound like a strategic necessity. So if a manufacturer is feeling that vendor lock-in right now, how do they start? What's the practical roadmap to break free?
Step 1, assess your situation. You have to quantify the pain before you can make a case for change.
So a technical debt audit.
A rigorous one. Document everything.
Yeah.
How many spreadsheets are plugging the gaps? How much time and money does a simple change actually cost? How many upgrades have you skipped? You need hard numbers.
And with those numbers, you can move to step 2, defining what you actually need.
Exactly. Step 2, define requirements. And this has to be a deep collaboration between IT and the business. You need the business requirements, which are tied to outcomes like workflow agility, and you need the technical requirements that guarantee independence like low-code tools and open APIs.
Once that's clear, step 3 is picking a transition strategy. There are a few paths, right?
Right. Based on your risk tolerance, you could do an incremental migration. Start small with a new QMS system, for example. Prove the value, then expand.
Or if you're building a new facility.
That's a greenfield approach, a clean slate. Make configurability a non-negotiable from day one. And then there's the big bang modernization, a full replacement. High risk, but sometimes necessary if the old system is just killing you. It needs total executive buy-in.
Okay, step 4, choosing the right platform. Every vendor's website says configurable. How do you cut through the marketing fluff?
You have to demand concrete proof. First, ask about configuration coverage. What percentage of changes can be done without writing code? If they don't say 80 or 90%, they're still a customization shop.
What else?
Demand to see their upgrade track record. Ask them. Prove that your customers upgrade without reworking configurations. Look for hard metrics, like a 95% config carry forward. And finally, inspect their APIs. They have to be open, modern, and version controlled. If your data is still trapped, you haven't solved the problem.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the hardest step. 5 is change management.
It's not just technical, it's cultural. Its role has to evolve from being gatekeepers to being enablers, and you have to set up a light governance model using sandboxes and peer review to balance that new agility with the right amount of oversight.
So what does this all boil down to for you, the listener? The fundamental shift here is moving from a system that dictates your roadmap to a platform that enables continuous improvement.
Right. You turn the software from a static liability that holds you back into a dynamic competitive asset that actually drives the business forward.
So here's the final provocative thought we want to leave you with.
If your competition in aerospace, medical devices, semiconductor, is iterating and deploying process improvements in 2 days because of their configurable system.
Yeah.
And your rigid, customized system requires 2 months.
Wow.
What major contract or quality standard are you going to fail to achieve in the next 18 months because of that failure to adapt? The risk of clinging to the status quo often profoundly outweighs the risk of modernization.
A powerful question.
Well,
We do want to remind you that these detailed insights originated from a series of industry publications focused specifically on the high-stakes world of regulated manufacturing.
and we also want to acknowledge Mass Group, a trusted provider of cloud-based manufacturing and asset management software. For over 25 years, they've helped organizations achieve that vital visibility, traceability, and control through their focus on secure, configurable, and scalable solutions. For companies in those highly regulated industries like aerospace or medical devices, you really need platforms built on decades of experience in achieving that visibility and control. It's the only way to make this pivot. To learn more about that, you can schedule a demo or contact them directly at sales@massgroup.com.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We look forward to catching you next time.